Want to start us? How many of you woke up this morning and the very first thing you did was reach for your mobile phone? Show of hands. How many of you had that mobile phone in your hand and the very first thing you did was either read or respond to a text message? How many of you woke up this morning? You're not alone. 40% of us are guilty of exactly the same thing. And it should be no surprise, we're spending up to 6 hours in front of our mobile screens every single day. And we're checking this up to 200 times a day. And when you think of that, that's about half of our time that we're awake every day. And if you don't believe me, I highly encourage you to look at your own phone. Apple, Android recently introduced services to raise self-awareness that you might be spending a little too much time with yourself. And what's interesting here is there should be no surprise that the amount of travel that is purchased digitally is now hitting around 50%. And in fact, our digital comfort, our digital expectations are probably correlated very much with the growth of travel in the last decade. If you think about it, FOMO, fear of missing out, bucket lists, terms that we intertwine with travel, are only 15 years new, which is precisely the beginning of the mobile revolution. And what follows people faster than a stingy bee on a warm summer Madrid day? Advertising. Brands are going to spend, in 2 years' time, more than double their media budgets in mobile than in television. So why is this relevant? Well, travel is big. The world's GDP is represented 10% by travel. In some countries, like the Maldives, that number is up to 80%. Governments are fighting to earn your dollars in their countries. Some countries, like the Seychelles, spends upwards of 20% of their media budget trying to attract you. And let's look at the competition. In 2017, 1.3 billion people arrived in a country. That's 50% greater than a decade ago, half of which here in Europe, led by France, but Spain is second. And what are they fighting for? The $1 trillion we're spending in local economies. Now, what's marvelous about mobile, and it's kind of sensible, it's a two-way communication. I mean, it's a phone, right? So those 6 hours of screen time, we're not just consuming content, we're composing. We're leaving posts, we're sharing photos, we're uploading videos. Now, we don't know for certain the percentage of photos in Instagram that are travel-related. But we know for certain that 80% of millennials are inspired by the Instagram platform when planning their travel, half of which will solely choose their destination based on the Instagrammability of the location. This digital platform, this digital experience, isn't just influencing how we plan our travel, it's also influencing how we make our decisions of purchase when buying travel. And it's not just air, it's hotels, it's tours, it's restaurants, and we'll look at all of them. So let's begin with hotels. Hotels are led by two big giants, Expedia and Booking.com, which was formerly Priceline. And brands you may love, Trivago, Kayak, Hotels.com, actually, they're all owned by those same two companies. Big giants, Marriott, or small boutique hotels in Ibiza, they suffer the same challenge. They pay up to 20% commission to receive guests from this duopoly. Enter Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight was a brand in 2010 that launched to quench the thirst of the millennial traveler. It created a mobile-only platform which worked only upon arrival, which appealed to only searching for hotels after 12 p.m. in that city for that night, hence the name Hotel Tonight. And an overnight success because it was so simple, so easy, meet the millennial needs of a combination of convenience and price. And as they succeeded over time, they confronted two unexpectations. The first was these hoteliers. Now, they're giving a little bit less commission because Hotel Tonight is a new entrant, but they're still paying. Yet, because of the brand affinity and the ease of use, it was just so simple to buy, you found these hoteliers tweeting, "I've got inventory, please go buy, but at Hotel Tonight," and drawing and making that brand more successful. And the other unexpected circumstance was it was so damn easy to buy that they had some unintended interested parties to return the purchase. Now, when asking the founders what happened here, well, most of those were kicking back a few at the bar, and it was so damn easy they forgot they bought a hotel, leading to a problem. So an engineer came one day and said, "I have a solution," and launched this. And while it may look like the logo, you actually see here a payment confirmation page. And while it may seem simple to trace the letter H, I challenge you to do that while you're under the influence. Profits soared, and Hotel Tonight became so successful, they sold this past year to Airbnb, the other major disruptor in the travel industry. So let's discuss Airbnb. They are not only interested in your lodging dollars, they're also interested in what you do when you arrive in a location. Where are you eating? Where are you spending time? What tours are you seeking? Because at the point when you buy your airfare, only 3% of you at that time have also chosen a hotel. Rarely have you chosen your car, and surely you have not chosen your tours. So this is a golden opportunity for everyone to fight for you. Your airline, Iberia, your Airbnb, even your car rental company, all peddling you with offers. So what works in this? Those who are successful are beginning to extract the best that we're seeing in the digital world and the retail world, a brand we all recognize. If you see these two choices, more likely than not, the majority of you will choose the €2.50 cup. Proven science. The exact same product line, we had a third choice, and that began to change. The majority of you, nothing's changed, will choose the €3.50 price. This is known as the decoy effect. Where have we seen this? Where have we seen this? Airlines. The last 18 months, you may have noticed economy light, which is arguably not much more than a seat, economy and economy flexible. They've steered you subconsciously to choose that secondary product, inflating their profits to an all-time high in the industry. Where else do we see this? Museums. I'd offer the Louvre. You have a choice of buying a ticket as admission, a skip-the-line ticket, and a skip-the-line ticket with a tour. With all these three choices, you can kind of guess where they're headed. What's fascinating here is that this space is not digital. Only 14% of tours and activities are purchased digitally. Last week, the Louvre Museum was closed, not just on a Tuesday, but on a Wednesday. Why? Because the officials were concerned of overcapacity, because of the number of their people, the guests, seeking that Mona Lisa for that selfie. They actually closed the museum. Over-tourism is a real challenge that we face in local tours. Let's look at the mighty Everest. China had already put a quota. Nepal is considering the same. And while there are only 400 climbers permitted to make that summit, because the weather patterns are so challenging, there's only 2 or 3 days that are permissible. And look what happened this year. This happened just 2 weeks ago. A terrible traffic jam, 3 hours of unplanned waiting. Consequences severe. People lost oxygen. They fell off the mountain. Over a dozen died. Lake Elsinore, a small little village on the highway between San Diego and East Los Angeles. Arguably no one even knew of it before, I certainly hadn't. Came to notoriety this year because of a poppy blossom festival. What is a poppy blossom festival? Forbes magazine said it's one of the best 16 places to go visit this spring. Not 15, 16. And people came. They Instagram, they Facebook, they photographed, and sure enough, dozens, tens of dozens, thousands. And the town officials were elated. They built an extra parking lot, they brought shuttle buses, they put portable toilets, and look what happened. 60,000 people came one weekend, which is more than the population. So much so that town officials had to put a mea culpa saying, actually, this is a commodity. Here are 11 other places you can go see poppy blossoms. The poppy apocalypse. Arguably for a pop-up or puppy-up destination. Lastly, let's turn to food. Half of you in the room will see a wonderful setting, relaxing by the lake, enjoying a suntan. The other half of you see food, see hot dogs. Am I right? But I'm not going to talk about hot dogs. I'm going to talk about Michelin food. About a month ago, my girlfriend and I had the pleasure of dining at 11 Madison Park, which, if you know, is the #1 rated restaurant in all of the U.S. And I have been seeking and anticipating this with great pleasure. We arrive, and we have our pre-dinner cocktail, and we sit down, and there's a box, kind of awkward on the table. So normally when you see a box, it's kind of a subtle hint, you're supposed to pay, get out. And here I'm thinking perfection. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did they forget the previous guest? Like, I kind of want to take a peek. How much is it going to cost? The waiter sees I'm a little confused, comes over and offers the following. Words from his mouth I have never heard before in a restaurant. He simply said, we invite you to place your mobile phones in this box to enjoy the pleasure of dining with us tonight. Those are pretty polite yet formal words. And having spent some time in South Carolina, it reminded me of these grandiose plantations with these crazy lawns and this beautiful southern hospitality, which would never say, keep out. It would say, beyond this point, by invitation only. So I'm thinking, is this a hint? Is this a request? What is this? So I look around, and people are snapping, snap, 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 snap. You know what? I'm snapping. We're keeping our phones. This is my hard-earned money. I really want to enjoy it. And while I may not look like an Instagrammer, I am one on TV. So as we're having dinner, later that evening, I start doing some research. Let's be honest. I started doing it in the second course with the mobile phone. And I realized there is a massive controversy at the elite levels of gastronomy. You have this interesting dilemma, digitally impacted, where you have these chefs who tire and tearsome go through the food ladder all the way up and create these culinary innovations. And literally, these are circus acts that they master between the prepping, the cooking, the plating, and the delivery to you to have your taste buds enjoy their mastery, to be destroyed by FOMO paparazzi. Not something taken lightly in that world, and a big debate for us to consider. Maybe not for the hot dog vendor, but certainly for the gastronomy experts. Finally, what really scares me most is, while I've given you a number of facts and figures, we're just at the beginning of travel digitalization. The reality, only 30% of Americans have a passport, only 8% of the Chinese. That's going to double in 2 years. We're already seeing some of the over-tourism concerns I've mentioned. And really, finally, what's most disturbing, despite all the reality of the digital messages we will see and continue to see, I guarantee if I were to take a poll today of where do you next want to travel, between Nick's opening remarks of where his wellness visit was and my tropical shirt, I'm guessing you're going to say Thailand. And the power of subliminal influence is amazing. But unfortunately, I don't have time to talk about tonight. Thank you very much.